Okay, so we're back with episode 3 of Fourier transforms. And last time we covered, remember, that we do our Fourier transform and we get the real and imaginary parts. And now all we need to do is car to Paul to translate them from these kind of this real and imaginary stuff that we don't really care about into the amplitude and phase of the component sine waves, which was that was the big revelation from last time, that I mean, this is sort of the Fourier theorem, I think. I mean, I didn't go to school for this stuff. I don't know all the words and blah, 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 but, you know, here we go. We're going with this. Okay, so this is this sort of Fourier theory that, if you know, if you have a signal like this, like an amount of time and a squiggly line over it, what we can do is we can figure out what all the component sine waves are of that signal. And inversely, if we have if we know, what the component amplitudes and phases are of a signal, we can generate it just by playing all those sine waves at a time. Right? So, and this is a really, I remember learning this and just being like, what the this is really fucking weird. But, okay, whatever. Here we go. We're just going to keep going. Okay. So maybe I'll get back to Ableton. Okay. So now we have the amplitude, the phase, and the bin number. So, what sine wave is it? So now, just before we get too carried away, let's actually, I wonder what it sounds like if we just plug that into the output. It probably sounds like crap. Okay, so we don't want to do that, right? But what we can do is an inverse Fourier transform. And we just have to send the amount of points for this one. And this is going to give us, can't remember how this works. I think we just go like this. Yeah, so we just got to flip it around. Paul to car tilde, because it's an audio object. Go in there, and these guys go in here. And then I think this should work. Ooh. Weird, right? So we had this weird shit. Okay, all right, whatever. I don't want to get too carried away with that. But so what we're doing is we take our signal, we're turning it into, we're doing this Fourier transform, Fourier analysis or whatever on it. And from that, we get out this chart of the component sine waves, their amplitudes, and their phases, which I drew really sloppily. And then we can do stuff to those amplitudes and phases. Now, in this setup, you can also, you would usually use an additive synth for this, but you can also turn it into sine waves and then regenerate it. Here, we're just sort of taking the data and we're going to mess with it. And if you were generating the sine waves, then you could change the pitch and stuff. And that's what additive synthesis is you just get a bonkers huge list of sine waves. You can control, a lot of them are 2048 or whatever, individual sine waves. And you can control their pitch and stuff like that. And their phase and amplitude and whatever. Okay, so so what can we do with this, right? So one thing that you kind of want to try out right off the bat is what if we delay this, right? So let's say our maximum delay time, let's just put 512, because if we delay it by 512, we'll just loop around again, right? Initial delay time 0, and that's fine. Why don't we do that for the, yeah, we'll do it for the amplitude and the phase. Okay, so we go like this, yada yada blah blah. This is our delay time in samples, so let's add a little thing for that. And we're going to go 512. Okay. So now we can play it again. before we do this, just take a second to think, like, what do you think is going to happen here, right? We have our signal. We turn it into our component sine waves, right? And they have to be in this order, right? So what happens if you take the volume of, 40 hertz or whatever in a signal, and then push that volume over a bit, and then you take the next one, you push that one over a bit, and then the next one over that one a bit. What's going to happen if we push all this all the way over? Now, if we get to the end, obviously there's no like end here. We're just rolling, like we have these windows going all the time, right? So if some value gets, kind of delayed, pushed over here, then it's going to just end up right back at the beginning. That's going to be our first value. Okay, so just take a second to sort of think about that. And you probably have already, because it's been more than 1 second of me waffling about this. Okay, so here we go. Let's do it. Let's hear what it sounds like. I'm going to do it with my keyboard. Kind of weird, no? We're doing a delay, but we're getting this weird pitch shift sort of thing. And it is exactly for the reason that we kind of mentioned before, right? If we have this kind of this list of sine waves, and these the pitches for these are locked in place, right? So if we take the value of this one and we slide it over, then it's going to pitch upwards. And inversely, if we take this one and slide it this way, aka loop it back around, and then these ones all slide down this way, then it's going to sound lower. But there's going to be a point in the middle where these ones are already like halfway down over here. So now it's like kind of ambiguous whether it's going up or down, right? And that's what we saw here as we play through this. And this sounds like crap, but don't worry about it for now. Okay, so all right, so that's what a delay does. And I'm I don't want to get too in the weeds about this, because you can do lots of really cool and weird shit with this. The other thing that's worth thinking about, in my opinion, is what if we had two signals? Let's just take this cello or something, and we'll loop that guy, and we're just going to do the same thing. Like, let's just do this. And this time, what I'm going to do, I can't never remember if I multiply the phases together. No, whatever. Okay, let's just multiply them together. So what we can do now is just multiply these together. So again, you want to think of this not as like okay, hold on, before we get into this. So let's look at this shitty diagram again. Okay, can I move around in here? Or okay, here we go. Okay, so say I have the FFT output for one, and I have the FFT output for another one, right? And if I multiply them together, and then I'm going to do my inverse Fourier transform, and that's going to get me my signal back, right? So I have the signal here, and we do our FFT, and we have our signal here, and we do our FFT, right? So we've got all our bins with all our volumes, yada, yada, yada. And then we've got these ones over here also, right? So what's going to happen if we multiply these together? So the nice thing is, like, these are going through time, right? We get this one first, and then we get this one, and then we get this one, and then we get this one, right? So it's not like we're not multiplying all of them together all at once, right? Let me just annotate. So we're actually just going to, you know, kind of pair them up, and we're going to multiply this one by this one, and I should have done that with this red marker. This one, oops, fuck. This one and this one. I'm not very good at drawing. This one and this one. My art school teachers will be mad. This one and this one. So, okay. So another sort of helpful way of thinking about this, again, if you know a lot about FFT stuff, you're going to be mad at me for sort of not fully explaining it, but I think that it's easier to think about it in this way. So let's think about, just to get a kind of idea of what's going to happen if we multiply these things together. Let's pretend that halfway up here, this is 1. So this is a value of 1. And down here is a value of 0. And up here is a value of 2. Right? And we'll do the same thing over here. We won't annotate it because it's boring. Okay, so this one we've got, say, I don't know, 1.2. Why am I even doing this? Let's go like this. So we've got 1.2 times 0.5, right? So you can see it ends up quite a smaller number, right? So what did we learn? So if the number is small over here or over here, it's probably going to drag the volume down for the output one, right? Let's make our little output one, and we'll do our line in the middle. And so our first one was 0.6. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but just to get a kind of an example. The other thing that we can see, here is if the first one, this one again looks like I don't know, let's say 1.1, and then we're going to multiply it with the other one, and this one looks like it's right at that 1 line. So that equals 1.1, obviously. So this one, so that's the next thing that we learned. If this number is around 1 or something, and this one is big, then we start going up. And let's just pretend this number is big, and this one is big. So now, Jesus. So for our third one, we've got like 1.5 times 1.5. And if they're both above 1, then they're going to go even higher, right? And you can see this value spiked, right? We're at 2.25, which is like fucking way up here, right? So you can see if there's if this signal and this signal both have a lot of the same frequency, we're going to get a lot of that frequency in the output. And if this one has it, but this one doesn't have it, then it's going to be kind of low. And if they both don't have it, obviously the output's going to be really low, right? So let's imagine this next one. It's probably going to be some little tiny line like that. Okay, cool. So what this means essentially is that I feel like I'm not going to get a good output on this. Hopefully it'll work. Maybe I have to like frame a cube or something. Okay, whatever. All right, so let's play this one. So that one's playing. We're not getting anything to the output because this one is, the output of this is 0, right? Now, ooh, that's terrible. That's not what I wanted to do at all. Okay, let's multiply these by let's get them smaller here. Hold on. Times tilde. I don't think that's my problem, to be honest. Hold on. Let's try not multiplying the phases. Let's just take this phase. Yeah, that still sounds like ass. Let's try multiplying this by, oops, 0.2, let's say. Okay, this is a crap example. Okay, but just so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about, this is this thing called crosstalk synthesis, or cross synthesis. It's kind of like this, like, one moment. Oh, look, you multiply. Okay, here we go. So look, we multiply the amplitude by the phase and the blah blah. Okay, let's see if that'll work for us. So we multiply both of these by the amplitude. No, that still doesn't work. Okay, hold on. Let's go back there. Oh, right. We have to do the windowing, otherwise this isn't going to work. Okay, cool. So that's fine. So let's just take this. Let's just steal this. And just so you can get an idea of what it would sound like if we did all the stuff. Like we have to do windowing and blah, blah, blah. It's a pain in the ass. So we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we'll just kind of put all this. Maybe I don't want to delete all this, but. So we'll just put all this to the side. Whoops. Damn it. Put all this to the side. And we'll do like this. So we take this one and we take this one, I believe. And let's see what that sounds like. Okay, it's still a little distorty. And let's turn it up a little bit. Okay, so that particular one doesn't sound that interesting, but I want to, let's try this one maybe. Okay, yeah, okay, so you can hear we're getting some weird filtering, right? Okay, so what's happening is the volume, let's hear this. So what we're getting is the each window of the frequencies is multiplying together, so we're getting this cool situation where we have the frequencies of both of them kind of interacting with each other, and we can get this kind of halfway between sort of sound. Actually, speaking of which, let me just go back to the help file and show you the example because it's pretty cool. I think if this is the one I'm thinking of, it is not. Uh-oh. Ah, crap. Okay, that's not working. What about... Oh, man. Okay, I just want to show you a cool one. Rain stick. Genius. Brilliant. Fucking awesome. Okay, shit. Where did that thing go? Here we go. Let's grab it again. This is taking forever, so hopefully this part will be edited out. School FFT. Okie dokie. Okay, so here we have our rain stick, right? Cool, very cool. Whoops, what am I doing? So this one goes in here. We loop that, and then we take this one and we put it through here. So, Oh yeah. Okay, cool. So now we're starting to scratch the surface of like what's cool about FFT. Just think about that for a second. We took two sounds and we made an in-between sound where it has some of the texture and the frequencies of both, and we got a weird new sound out of it. I think that's fucking great and really weird and cool. Okay, incidentally, I'm not going to save this, whatever. This is sort of how convolution reverb works, right? It's more complicated than this, and for the purposes of this, we're not going to get super into it. But just as a side note, here, say we have some sound. Let's take some singing. Where is this? Friends, breathy. Okay, so I think you heard that, right? Yeah. So if we take this sample and put it in here, then we also get this sort of in between. Again, look, I'm going all the way over here, so I'm on just the convolution reverb part. And the cool thing about this is we're getting sort of the same phenomenon where we're getting sort of some of both. Now, actually, if we make this super short, okay. So the convolution reverb is kind of like what we just did. It's more complicated because we have to do a bunch more multiplication. And usually you don't like make your own convolution reverb in Max. You usually will use like an external library to do that because I don't know, that's just how it's done. Okay, so great. I hope that was sort of a helpful introduction to FFT. I know this last video was a little bit long, and hopefully I'll have edited it down so that it's not quite so long. But yeah, let me know what you think. And does this kind of make sense, or should I have put a lot more effort into this video? Okay, thank you, take care, and Godspeed.